One would hope a Secretary of State would have some kind of actual political education. Even with my degree, I have education when it comes to humans and the human factor in each situation that I'm trained to interact with. Uh, my basic training is going in and finding out what's wrong with how things work. And if it's the people, I was taught how to deal with the human side of things that work, because things that work with people because you can't, things aren't run by robots, so, or run by robots or run with robots. It's like there's people involved, workers specifically. So we're taught to take them into account, and we take a whole bunch of psychology. Well, some people take a lot of psychology courses. I took the basic psychology, and I took a lot of philosophy courses. But we're taught to think about it, to think about things pretty deeply. But and then how we would deal with things is what we're tested on. So you can fail that test. But Anthony Blinken doing that whole, the Jews were dehumanized by this, that, Israel shouldn't dehumanize. I have the picture. I'm hopefully adding it to the video. Dehumanization is like a plague. It's communicative because it's based on information. It's based on knowledge and wisdom, that's pulled from what's effectively misinformation about ourselves. We often teach ourselves wrongly about what is being human and what is a human. So, dehumanizing is a huge problem everywhere. Making policies regarding how people feel is a big mistake, because feelings don't turn to action, and things that are wrong, like dehumanization, can be argued against if you've got the balls to talk to people that you're afraid of. Now, if those people say they're going to kill you if you come anywhere near them, maybe talk to somebody else who can talk to them. It's diplomacy. He's the Secretary of State. There are so many people in the United States that have dehumanized Israel, that look at them as like a giant mob of problem causers. Just like how a lot of black people look, not I can't even say it's black people anymore. It's mostly white women and liberals, and female-minded men that look at other white people as being racist and bigots and hateful, and to the point where they themselves become bigots and hateful, and they don't see the problem in themselves while they're pointing their fingers at other people who aren't nearly as bad as they are, to say the least. Because regardless if they're racist or bigots or whatever, the people that are being stalked and hunted keep it to themselves. It's like if they bring it into their work, they can be, they can lose their jobs anyways. We're not in a racist society, excuse me, or a racist system. Oh, crap, I got hiccups. The systems aren't aren't racist. The systems are systems. They can be checked. They're on paper mostly. You can actually, standard operating procedures, you can actually look at them and criticize them, and audit them if you've got the skill to, like I do. But racist people, while we have freedom of speech and they can speak their mind, or people who dehumanize others, they have freedom of speech, they can speak their mind. They're not usually left alone once they speak their mind, because our culture is not actually racist or bigoted or pro dehumanization. Most of the dehumanization is because of emotional reactions to devastating events. It's like the feelings that people love to point at that happen in Israel. The social media videos. These people are figuratively weeping and crying about what's happened, what they've learned, and this dynamic is happening everywhere because of what everybody is learning is going on in all sorts of things. A lot of people love to blame Israel, but Israel is just like the rest of us. They're caught up in the middle of everything like the rest of us are, except with everybody focusing their blame on them, they have to worry about terrorists, suicide bombers. They have to, there's few who don't have a personal connection to somebody who's been murdered. You can say it's the same thing with Gaza. Yes, it is the same thing with Gaza and West Bank and a lot of the areas of the region. And it's the same people who don't mind their own business helping defeat the real bad guys, whoever the hell they are, making everything worse, making everything as bad as it is. It's like the people of Israel are desperate. They've asked for help from people who actually aren't helping them because they're desperate. A lot of them have turned their backs on their faith, and I'm not saying that that's like what's, God's punish. God understands. God understands what's going on with everybody better than everybody does. God's already forgiven everybody because God knows what everybody goes through. And let me tell you a little bit of something about our relationship with God. Our spirit isn't ours. Everything is the consciousness or spirit of the Creator. All these vessels house parts of the Creator's spirit. And we ourselves are a manifestation of that spirit. We are an extension of the Creator's consciousness within our vessel, and so is everybody else. So God himself, or itself, doesn't think about anything the way we emotionally do. When we're not forgiving of ourselves and others, it's because we don't understand. And that lack of understanding manifests itself as dehumanizing hatred much of the time. And it happens with everybody. It's not unique to Israel. And the thing is Israel has been working their ass off to be as humanizing as possible, to the point of I can't say they're doing it too much, because they're handling everything as good as can be imagined. Short of the people who hate them thinking they should bend over and take it. Take what's being given to them, take what they've earned. Except the people who say that, you won't be able to take what you've earned in your dehumanizing of Israel. You couldn't take your own medicine, because your medicine leads to death and suffering. So that's why republics are so good, because it gives people the freedom to feel and think however they want, because all of those things are temporary and they can be changed through interactions with others. It's when people with that hate and feelings that are out of control have power to fix what they think the problems are, that causes literally all the problems. All, like the pro brothel casino culture, they're a rebellion against a form of oppression, by people who hate so much that they're willing to dehumanize people who do those things, because the religious groups have been taken over by crazy people, and it's been like this for a very long time. It's a known thing. That I've personally found a few people who aren't crazy. They're still wrong about some things about the nature of God and the universe, but most of what they teach helps fix these problems and brings us closer to humanity, where humanity is supposed to be. Crap, it's fucking 10 minutes. So, but we can't keep condemning people for their feelings and their beliefs. We're in a republic. We're supposed to protect people from that kind of judgment. And it's not just from the government's power. That's head and sand BS. Alpha BS, the bootstrap people, the pro, if you don't have a network of friends and families, well, you get what you deserve. It's like those ultra feminist minded men. It's slavery. It's an enslaver's mind. The justification to scam people who don't do things right. To take advantage of people who don't do things right, that they deserve what they get. It's more people who should be minding their own damn business instead of teaching everybody the false wisdom that they're teaching. So it's rough. We're in a culture of retards and simpletons who don't know what they're doing and don't know why they believe what they believe, because they don't really understand it. They react on emotion and then end up turning it into policy and forcing other people to live under their decision making when they're just making decisions based on emotion. The the stuff that Israel is doing against Hamas is logical when you actually know who everybody is. When you know who everybody is, they have to do it. They have to defend themselves. Otherwise, they'll be subjugated and slowly destroyed, like they've been. Every time they make a concession, it's been used against them by crazy people. People who are led by activists trying to make things better, when in reality, all they're doing is forcing people to suffer. Because these activists, they sleep most of the time, culturally and socially and politically. They're asleep. And the only time they act is when they're forced to wake up. And when they wake up, they can't see anything. They're all groggy. Their vision is blurry. But they act and act and act and act until whoever they're acting against stops. And then they go back to sleep. It's exactly what led to the Nazis. They had their education that they got from the higher class around the world, and they decided they knew what was best to do with that knowledge. And a lot of people went along with it, including disabled people, the Jews, a lot of people who were suffering the most. Groups of them went along with it because they believed the same information. Bad information can cause more damage than anything else. And we've got a culture of people spreading bad information, claiming to be against bad information, but they couldn't tell the difference if their life depends on it, because it does and they can't. So the road out of this mess is sadly going to be a long and hard one, because there's too many ignorant people with power. Too many ignorant people with the ability to tell other people what they should or shouldn't do, in between sleeping through everything, sleeping through the consequences of the decisions they force onto others. Their goal is to shut everybody up so that they can't see them. Shut everybody up so that they can't hear them. Shut everybody up so that no one knows who everybody is. Because they just want to sleep, and they have the power to destroy everybody. So things are screwed up, and the way people are reacting is screwing things up even more. It's exposing the truth to anybody with an actual interest in the truth, but a lot of people are just simpletons. And we couldn't see the truth if it was right in front of them because they don't know enough to be able to identify it. It's just another opinion that can be argued against. That's all the truth is to nearly everybody. You know, it's like we're humans. We're supposed to be building families and taking care of our family and working together to do that. You know, we're designed to manage a family unit and maybe an extended, to help manage an extended family unit. And that goes up to the government as far as we can actually take it. And where our limit is usually where we have all the books and everything telling everybody what to do. Like the Bible or the Ten Commandments. I mean, the Bible's been screwed up so much. But, the Old Testament and the Ten Commandments, pretty basic stuff. You know, it shows a lot about how screwed up humans are so that you can be more forgiving of each other. Because God does. God knows what he's working with. He doesn't delude himself into thinking that humans should be like Jesus. Moses had his arm twisted in order to do his job. He was guided through his life and had to have his arm twisted to do what he needed to do for the people that for everybody God wanted to save. I mean, it wasn't just the slaves invited to go. Everybody was invited to go. But a lot of people just wanted to stay home and sleep, knowing what was coming with the signs that were being shown. Whether you believe in that story or not, it's a very good story because it's human. It's humans' relationship with God and God's relationship with humanity. God is always creating and he's always trying to save us. And when we have that connection with God, we know we return to God when we die, and death stops being so terrifying. So we don't, the natural human doesn't scramble over other people in the hopes of raising their odds of living. That's what people do when they're disconnected, when they don't have that connection to God. And I don't mean a figurative connection like a lot of these people promote. It's a literal connection. Even knowing that you should have a connection can help you heal that connection because it's a brain damage problem. I got my connection back through healing myself with living food, healthy food, anti-inflammatory food, staying away from inflammatory food. I wasn't really, I don't think I was even drinking during that time period. And my brain just clicked. It just happened. And I started feeling the extension of my own consciousness and what my consciousness is supposed to be. And I could feel the Creator. And I started to understand the Creator's nature and its presence in everything. Everything is created by the consciousness of the Creator. Everything. And it's always being created. The present, the changing present, is always never-ending creation. And that creation is done through the consciousness of the Creator. And the only emotion the Creator has is love, like the love for your children or for your parents. It's real love, what real love is, not this lust, false religion bullshit that's been spread around, with the people who think they know better. We all return to God. The myth of hell is a myth used to control people, and it literally just makes people work. It's the reason why the casino brothel exists. because the myth of hell has forced them to rebel to levels that have created the hell that these good people that teach hell claim to be fighting against. They create the exact same thing they claim to fight against. And it's the same thing all these people who point out how much rage Israel feels as being proof that Israel needs to be stopped, because they can't look back at at themselves and see the exact same rage and hate and dehumanizing forming within themselves and being turned into action. Israel has been made to control themselves so much that all they have is their ability to express their hate. People need to be allowed to get it out of their system. People need to be allowed to grieve. And most true grieving, no one else should be around to. You know, it's like the fact that we've been led to express ourselves through social media is a scam trap in the first place. It's so people can get information on us and use it against us so that they can scam us. Or I should say marketing research. The fact that people use it to get things out of their system is just personal therapy. If you don't like how people express themselves, leave them alone. Scroll past it. Don't obsess about it. Don't start injecting your own dehumanizing hatred into it, because you're not helping. You know, by saying, see, Israel gets what they deserve. Because when that comes to you and nobody cares about your humanity, will you even remember what you did and how you felt towards the people you claimed weren't being human? It's an epidemic of psychological disorder, but it's not a permanent disorder. It's one that can be fixed. It's like racism. Most racism that all of us disagree with is cured through interaction. People learn to be racist either through personal experience with people of other races that are negative, or from learning from people that they look up to. And when we get a chance to learn, not that I've ever been racist, but if we ever get a chance to learn what real humans are, then we start to learn to see the humanity in others. We start to see ourselves in others. And we start to learn what the golden rule really is. And believe it or not, Israel as a nation is following the golden rule, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, it's literally because you don't know enough of what's going on over there and who everyone really is. You don't understand your own humanity, and you're not willing to forgive people's grieving and mourning process, what everybody's going through on every side. I started off as being an Israel critic and a supporter of Palestine. And then I went in and learned who Israel really is, who the people are, who the children are. And I learned what is really going on and how it needs to be solved. Thank God for that. And then thank God for Trump extending what I learned, the good parts of what I learned, into the political sphere, helping create the Abraham Accords. Because Israel needs to not have to rely on America. America is unreliable. This country is nuts, and it's full of crazy people running everything. And Israel needs to be able to rely on other followers of God, because that's the heart of Israel. Israel is closer to a true republic than America currently is. You know, you follow God, and then the family structure comes comes under God. There you go. They have their issues like everybody else does. You know, but they have to be free to work it out like all of us do. They're in the same brothel casino we are. They got the same problems we do. They have the same path out we do. And a lot of it is to stop lying about everything. Stop lying in order to control other people. Stop trying to control other people. Start becoming self-reliant and get rid of the people who encourage not being self-reliant. People who try to force inter-reliance, because that is a bad idea. Like, we can make friends with each other and help each other when we need it. But we shouldn't be permanently reliant on others, like what was being created with this globalism shit. Because if something happens in one country, it creates a disaster for everybody. And then nobody has the ability to help everybody or anybody because we're all collapsing together. That's what globalization has done, because it's education straight out of the whorehouse. It's people who think they have good ideas because they're getting smoke blown up their ass to make them feel better about themselves. And then they start turning it into their own egos. People are nuts. So I try to help, you know. So that's all I can think of right now. I just woke up. I gotta go pick up my mom's stuff as much as I can. I gotta wait for a check my brother's giving me, so I have some gas money to do that. And yeah, it's a difficult time for a lot of people. So before you start pointing fingers about who's dehumanizing, just remember there's at least 3 other fingers pointing back at yourself. Don't forget yourself as part of the equation. You are not an objective observer. There is no objectivity. And if you forget that, you'll become part of the problem for everybody else. So, anyways, good luck, everybody. Love you.